This is so that you can wipe your brush. You will also want to have maybe some newspaper on your table or an easel, just so that you don't get paint everywhere. The paint can clean off. Perfect, thanks. Perfect. The paint can clean off of hard surfaces, but it does definitely stain your clothes. So just be careful. What else? You'll also want to have your jar of water. So I've got my jar of water here. You'll also want to have your brushes. So I have small, medium, and large. You don't have to have these sizes. I'll show you some tricks using the ends of your brush as well. Hi, Rebecca. Awesome. If you just want to shut off your camera and your mic, and then we'll continue. So you want to have your brushes, and you will want to have probably a small palette as well. Okay, so these are things that you want to have in your space. So the paper towel, the brushes, the water, these are really important because you want to make sure that you are wiping your paint off before you rinse it, and you want to wipe your brush off after you rinse it. So it's wipe, rinse, wipe all the time, especially because you guys are going to be putting this water down your drains and cleaning your brushes at your house. You don't want this paint to go down your drain. So that's where paper towel is our friend. I know it might be a little few and far between now. Okay, so I'm going to show you some tricks with your brushes. If you don't have 3 different sizes of brushes, that's totally fine. We'll make do without. Yep. Okay, that's everything on that page. So again, if all goes smoothly, maybe we'll start, we're just going to do this for an hour, hopefully, and then maybe this will start 2-hour classes or something like that. Hi, Sunny, if you just want to shut off your camera and your mic, awesome. All right, so painting, artists, it's all about the layers. So the first thing I want you guys to do is take a deep breath and exhale. And I do not want you to worry about a thing, okay? It is not going to look good for the first little bit. It's just going to look like paint on a canvas. It's not going to look like anything. You are not allowed to judge this until we are finished, okay? So no judgment, no worrying about if you got a crooked line. We're going to talk about Mother Nature in a little bit. No worrying at all, okay? So the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to wet our big brush. So whatever biggest brush you have, I have a 1-inch brush, but if you want to, if you have 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch, that's totally fine too. But we are going to wet it first, and then you're going to blot it off, okay? So we want to have, we don't want to have painty water, and we don't want to have watery paint. So just make sure that you're always using this paper towel in between, okay? Now, I'm going to put just a little bit of black on my palette. So if you haven't done that already, and a little bit of white. The other thing you can do is you can double dip. So if you want, if you're just going to paint out of your pods, you can double dip. The danger with doing that is that you may mess up the rest of your paint. So I'm going to do a gray background, and I'm just going to take mostly white and a touch of black, like hardly any at all. Oh yes, the camera's over there. Okay, so hardly any black at all. And we're going to start filling in our background. Now the nice thing about your brush is if you use it on its face, it's a wide line. If you use it on its side, it's a thinner line. The harder you press with your bristles, the wider your bristles will spread. So you will want, it depends on what look you want. So I'm just going to lightly kind of spread this out. Oh, that swing that's there, you are going to lose that. Okay, so I'm just going to do let's try that again, vertical strokes. And for those of you who have painted with me before, you know I like those streaks. You know that I like to get a little bit messy. And I'm not pressing very hard at all, okay? So I've got white on my brush quite a bit. That's why you guys got a lot more white. But again, you might want to put this onto your palette. I was too busy chatting before that I didn't do that. And then you want to have just the tiniest bit of black. You can see how much black eats up your color, right? So if you are going to do a background, a streaky background, a gray background, you are just going to put a tiny bit of black and a lot more white. So artists, when you do this, yes, you are going to paint around your tree. You're going to paint around your branches. I think next time I need to do like a black felt outline on mine, don't I? Okay. So we're going to go as close, if not over top of these lines as possible, of our tree lines. So go over top of your branches just a little bit. Don't worry, trust yourself. You will be able to see them later. Now artists, if you have a dry brush, if you can hear it, it's telling you it needs more paint. So please always have wet paint on your brush. It's not like a marker or an ink pen where it will just give you more. You're always going to have to dip. So artists, mine is messy. I am going over top of my lines in between my branches here. And I am using my big brush. I've dipped in both my white and my black. That's how I'm getting my streaks. Now, the more that I go over top of this, like if I kept brushing over top, it would just turn into gray. That's it. So the more that you play with your paint, the more you'll get just one color. So if you like those streaks, don't play with it. Just lay down your paint. So artists, you can see I'm painting over top of some of my branches up here. I'm trusting myself as an artist that I will be able to get them back. I'll draw them in myself. Mother Nature, she is wavy. She likes to flow. She doesn't really like straight lines, so we are not going to worry about anything being straight or perfect. And we're just going to fill in all around our tree. I am using horizontal lines. Just let's try that again. Vertical lines. Holy crow. Vertical lines. Oh my goodness. I always do that though, right? CJ's saying, yeah, you do. All right. So I am just filling in, and I am going over top of my branch lines a little bit. Another thing that you might want to do is paint the sides of your canvas. Because most of you are, I don't know if you guys have easels at home. Lucky you if you do, but I'm just going to take my gray paint and wrap it around the sides here. Okay. So artists, I'll let you do that for another minute or so, and then we'll move on to our bottom part. So I just did everything from the horizon line up and all around my tree, and I did paint over top of my swing. I did paint over top a lot of those branch lines. I went inside of my tree, pardon me, because our tree is going to be black. Okay, my tree is going to be black. I should mention that you guys never have to do what I'm doing. So if you don't want to do this tree, just paint over the whole thing and make up your own tree, right? This is your painting, your masterpiece. You decide. If you don't want to do a flat swing, you can do a tire swing. That's totally up to you. It's your painting. How's everyone doing? It's really weird talking to myself. I don't talk to myself often. So artists, I hope you're just enjoying the process of laying down the paint. Just, again, the more you go over top of your paint, the more it'll turn into one color. So if you like that streakiness, then don't play with it too much. The other nice thing with acrylic paint is it dries really quickly. So if you don't like it, give it a couple minutes and it will dry. And you can just paint over top of it. All right, artists, we're going to stick with our big brush. I haven't even rinsed mine because I'm going to use the exact same colors on the bottom. The only time you have to rinse your brushes if you're changing colors, and two, if you have too much paint in your bristles. So you can see on my brush that it is starting to move up the bristles. So I may want to clean that soon, but so far I am good. So for the bottom, you may want to change it up a little bit. I am still still double dipping. I've got some white and some black. And this time I'm actually going to do a really nice horizontal horizon line first. I'm actually going to turn my brush on its side so I get that thin line. Can you see that thin line? So I'm just going to do a thin line like that, okay? Then I'm going to turn the brush on its face and I'm going to do horizontal strokes. So again, artists, as soon as you can hear your brush, it's telling you it needs more paint. So grab some more paint and we are just going to fill this in. And again, if you haven't painted the sides, you may just want to paint the sides. So again, artists, your brush should always glide. It should never stick. It should never feel dry. You should always have enough paint on your brush that it is gliding. Okay, how's everyone doing? Oh, I think that's the hardest part is I can't check up on you guys. So please do let me know if you are having any issues. If you have any questions. So I am done with my gray after this, so I am wiping it off. Okay, so use your paper towel to wipe it off. See, I think this is me. There we go. So use your paper towel to wipe it off. And then you're going to stick your brush in the jar, and I know you guys don't have paint pucks at home, but you are going to just gently rub those bristles on the bottom or on the side of your jar just to get some movement in your bristles. Acrylic paint is really thick, so you'll want to rinse that out as much as you can. So did anyone have a question? So artists, again, if you could just make sure that your mic is muted. If you do have a question though, please just let me know. Perfect. All right. Artists, are we ready to rock onto our tree? Perfect, thank you. Let me know if you want me to take another minute more. We're only about 16 minutes in or so. All right, so I'm going to move on to my tree. Now my tree is going to be just black. I'm going to be kind of boring, and I'm just going to use just black. Okay. So I'm going to use my medium brush. You can use your small brush if you would prefer. And I'm just going to dip right into my black. Now, your brush should always do the work for you. So let it do your edges, let it cut in for you. Have you ever painted a wall, you know, when you have to do the edge really smoothly? You can also turn your brush on its side instead of on its face. So if you do it on its side, you can also outline first. Now, you don't want straight lines. Okay, this is an old oak tree. It is wavy, it is bumpy. Don't worry about your trunk being straight. Okay, now the other thing that we're going to do is we are actually going to take some, I'm going to wait actually, we are going to take some roots down here. So our tree isn't going to stop there, but we are going to outline first and then fill in. And as we get to our branches, you might even just be filling in as you go. So again, when you do your branches, artists, please don't do them straight. If you do them straight, it starts to look like you took a whole bunch of 2x4s and built a tree, okay? So we're going to take our medium brush. I'm just using my black That's it. And I'm outlining first, and then I'm filling in. How's everyone doing? You'll let me know, right? If you have any questions at all, or if I need to slow down. Now, artists, if you lost some of those branch lines, don't worry about it. Just fill it in. Make it up. If you want to add another branch, rock on. Now, you can always add more paint, but you can't ever really take paint away. So that's why you want to just be conscious of how much you're laying down first, I guess. Because if your branch is too thin, you can always make it thicker. But if your branch is too thick, you can't really make it thinner. Okay. So I am using my brush on its side because I do like that thin line. And you can see I'm dipping off an artist, right? I'm always having black paint on my brush. Now, black is kind of a scary color because it doesn't really ever go away. So you just want to be thoughtful about how hard you're pressing. Right? I'm not pressing very hard with this brush because the harder I press, the wider my bristles are going to spread. And you can see my lines are crooked and wonky, right? This is not a straight line. This is Mother Nature. She dances, she flows, she just simply grows. Now, all of the lines on your canvas are what I would call ish lines, meaning they don't ever have to be followed exactly. See, that turned into a thick branch. That's okay though. And yes, all of your canvases have been hand outlined. I did that on Thursday night. And my husband even helped. He snapped on the lids of all of your paint. Or else I would have been up. Well, he did lots of other things too. I would have been up until midnight last night. It took a lot longer than I thought it would have, but it was worth it because I got to see your beautiful faces. Your beautiful faces. Oh my God. See? CJ's even giving us little notes as we go. Thanks, CJ. Artists, I know we all miss creating with you. I mean, you know, I know this whole thing maybe this whole thing will just give us the opportunity to slow down, maybe to allow us to create more. Maybe some of you have never picked up a paintbrush, although most of you we have painted with before. You know, maybe this will just give you the opportunity to try something different. And so we're excited to at least be with you virtually on a Saturday afternoon. So again, artists, we're just spreading out our paint. We're filling in our tree. This will probably take us, well, the leaves take a long time too, but you know, the tree is a major part of our masterpiece, and so it is going to take us a little bit of time. So artists, just make sure that you're spreading out your blobs. If you land your brush, so landing means it touches the canvas, and you pick up some paint, that just means that you don't have enough wet paint on your bristles. So you always need to have more wet paint on your brush than you do on your canvas in order for the paint to stay. Those of you who've painted with me before, you've heard me say it's like a paint war. Whichever has the least amount of paint is going to take it away. So if your brush is taking paint off of your canvas, it means that your brush needs more wet paint on it. All right, so my bottom part of my painting is now dry, which means that I can go over top of it with just a couple small roots. I'm not getting too picky about what it looks like, right? And maybe my tree trunk should be a little bit stronger, I think. And my gray is smudging in a little bit. That's okay, because we're actually going to add a little bit of white smudges to our tree as well. So I'm just adding in some roots here. And again, artists, please ask if you have any questions. See, that got a little thick. Oh well. All right. So just take a little step back, make sure you filled in all of your tree. It doesn't have to look perfect, and it definitely is not going to look perfect. Okay, see mine? All blobby, all wavy, all really old and crooked. That's what we're going for, okay? So at no time does this have to be straight. All right, artists, what am I doing next? That is done. Right. Oh yes, we are going to smudge in some tree lines. So I'm not going to clean my brush entirely, but I am going to scrape off quite a bit of that black. Actually, never mind, artists, I take that back. I am going to clean my brush just because I can feel all that paint building up in the bristles. So if your brush isn't working for you anymore, you're like, this is a wide brush and I want it thin. It probably just means that you have too much paint in your bristles. So again, wipe that paint out first. You don't want this paint to go down your drain. Then you're going to stick your brush in the jar and rub those bristles on the bottom. So I've only rinsed my brushes twice now, and we're already 20 minutes-ish in, 25 minutes in, and I've only rinsed my brush twice. So the only time you have to rinse your brush is when you don't want your next colors to mix together, or you're changing a new color, or you have buildup of paint in your bristles. All right, is everyone kind of done filling in their tree? You'll let me know if not. Okay, awesome, thank you. I'll hold off for a second or more. So just take your time filling in your paint. And if you have any questions, please ask. You can unmute your mic. Just say, hi Paige, it's so-and-so. Just wondering, whatever you're wondering. So when you all got your paints, you chose, we had a choice of analogous colors or colors that can blend well together. So you guys chose blue, reds, and purples, or yellow, greens, and blues, or red, oranges, and yellows. You do not have to use all of those colors when it comes to filling in your tree. Like if you want to do different hues of blues, then fantastic. We're just going to add white to our colors. I'm going to show you how to make some really cool violets. I like them. So for those of you who chose the blue and violet and red palette, that's what I'll be using. We've had this painting done in all colors, everything, and it always turns out really pretty. So when we get there, we are going to start color mixing. However, before we do that, we are going to smudge in just a little bit of some wrinkles into our oak tree. So I'm going to double dip. So this time I'm going to take my medium brush, or the same one I used to fill in. You can take your small brush too if you want to. I'm going to get the tiniest bit of white on here, okay? Because I don't want this to turn into like a white splotch on my tree. So I've got like hardly any white on my brush, okay? Like there's nothing on there. And mostly black, okay? So I've got a lot of black. Ooh, where's my camera? There it is. I've got a lot of black. and just a little bit of white. And we're just gonna add some wrinkles. We're gonna smudge some wrinkles into our tree here. So you're going to make, you know, there might be some, ooh, see, that's what I mean. When you go over top too much, it turns to one color. And we are just going to add some lines into our tree, just to make it look old. I think CJ had done a hole in her oak tree. A knot, I should say. Yeah, that looks silly. No judging, right? Right, sorry. Whatever, these are just wrinkles. This is an old oak tree. It's lived for lots of years. We're not going to worry about up here because that's mostly going to be covered. But if you want to just very lightly add some wrinkle lines in your oak tree, just to make it stand out a little bit. Don't think about it too much because that's when it starts to kind of take over, but we're just adding, I literally just added in a few strokes. So if you want to take your medium brush and do it on a side, or if you want to take a small brush and just lightly put those in. It was a very light gray that mine turned out to be. I did double dip because I do like that smudging look. Okay, so artists, we have painted the background. We've painted the bottom part of the background. We've filled in our tree, or we're finishing filling in our tree. And we are adding wrinkles or gray lines into our, thanks CJ. We're adding wrinkles or gray lines into our tree. Okay. Sorry, CJ, you want to turn on your mic and just say that?
Hello, artists.
Hi.
Hi, I had just said if you wanted to dot two little white specks into a knot or a hole in your tree, then it looks like a little owl or some other furry creature maybe is peeking out of there.
Cute. Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, hello everybody. I miss you, and I hope you are having a great time painting. I think it's so fantastic that you took this time for yourself. You're doing wonderful. Good job.
So about 4 weeks ago, CJ Taylor and I had a little paint celebration, and we got a little messy at my house, although we did really well, and I was very impressed with Taylor. She did really well. She's my messy girl. And we poured some paint, and we just did it in the house. And so I know that we're in our homes right now trying different things, but you can get messy still in your house and do things like that. We've taken the paint pouring parties mobile when we do get back up to that stage of our lives again. But all you need is canvas. You'll need the roasting pans, I guess they are, the tin roasting pans, and then acrylic medium, liquid medium, and acrylic paint. And then we also used silicone gel, or silicone, sorry, I don't have it with me. What's it called? Anyway, oil, thank you, silicone oil. And they turned out beautifully. And, creating like that just has no judgment. It turns out gorgeous. You just mix colors and you get messy and you have fun. And that's what creating art is all about. It's not about, it being perfect. It's just about getting messy and having fun. That's all. All right, artists. So we've got our tree filled in. We've got some wrinkles rocking on. And are we ready to start mixing some colors? Okay, perfect. Yay, thank you. So I am going to take, so for those of you who got the blues and violets and reds, our purple is thin, and it's always been thin, and it never likes to be on its own. So if you have the violet, do not use it by itself. Always use it with a friend. But it's really easy to make violet. All you're going to do is you're going to take, sorry, I need a bigger table here. You're going to take some of your red. I'm going to take a really good scoop of it because this is going to be my main color. And so artists, we're going to make at least 3 different tints of a color, or 3 different hues of the same family. Now, for those of you who wanted, some of you are like, I want the exact same color that's on the painting, and it was made. So if CJ remembers how she made it, she can let you know. Oh, sorry. So right now I'm just using my medium brush. When we get to swiping, we're probably going to use our medium brush too, but if you want to use your big brush to mix your paints, you can do that. Right now, we're just going to mix. So what I'm going to say first is when you mix your paint, do not spread it on your palette, okay? All of your paint should always be in blobs. When you start spreading or pressing your brush into the paint, it just builds up in your brush and you lose all of that gorgeous color that you just made. Thank you. Awesome. So for those of you who just saw that, the teal that CJ used in the original painting was phthalo blue. So for those of you who did get the yellow, greens, and blues, the phthalo blue is the dark blue and the phthalo green is the dark green that you have. So she mixed those two together and she would have made different tints by adding white. So you're going to make your base color first. Sorry, I got distracted. So my base color is going to be purple. So I'm actually going to take my magenta because I want a really dark purple. If you want a lighter, more pinky purple, you're going to take your primary magenta. Okay? Oh, camera's over this way. Sorry. So I'm going to take my magenta and some light blue, not a lot, because I can always add more, but I can't take it away. It's really difficult to do. So I've got a little bit of blue on my brush and I've got some red as well. And when you mix, you're going to either gently fold it, right? See how I'm scooping and kind of folding, or you're going to tap it, okay? Sorry. So we're going to tap, 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 or we're going to gently fold it in. And I'm going to get a really deep violet. At least that's my plan. Anyway, so don't press too hard with your brush. And you want to make quite a bit of this, like a good tablespoon. Like that's probably not enough for me. Okay, maybe a tablespoon. Sorry, I don't bake much. So artists, again, try not to spread your paint. You're going to make your base color first. This is your main color, I should say. And I'm making a really deep violet, a red violet. So I've just used my magenta and my light blue, and I'm blobbing them in together. Okay. Once you've got a good amount, you're going to divide that into at least 3. Okay, so I'm going to take a scoop of that and put it over here. And I'm going to take another little scoop of that and put it anywhere else, whatever. Okay, so we've got 3, camera is over here. We've got 3 blobs going on. Okay, awesome. So you can see I've got quite a bit of paint built up in my brush. So I'm actually just going to scrape it out on the side of my palette. My plate. Okay. I'm going to use that. Oh. It would be me to put it in my hair, wouldn't it? All right. So now that we've got 3 blobs going on, we are going to actually lighten them a little bit. You're going to take a little bit of your white, and if you can dump it on, you can do that. But if you want to just take, so start with a little bit, artists, because you can always add more white, but you can't take it away. And this will get us our different tints of this color, so that you have the same color family in your masterpiece. So So if you're not sure how to make a color, please ask. Color mixing isn't easy. You do want to think of your rainbow though. You know, you make orange using yellow and red. If you want your orange to be more red, just add more red. Okay. Actually, I'm going to try a little bit of purple in here. So artists, this is probably, in my opinion, the most fun part of this masterpiece because you get to make colors. So much fun. Ooh, I added some violet in there. Ooh, that's really pretty. Oh, nice. Ooh, cool. Okay, so I've got, there we go, that's better. I've got 3 different hues going on here, at least 3. I did not clean my brush at all because they're all in the same family and they can all mix together, right? However, if your paint starts to build up in the bristles, oh, okay, here's my camera. If your paint starts to build up, like that's a lot of paint in there, right? Just wipe it off on the side of your palette and that way you can use it. All right, artists, now that we've got our 3 colors rocking on, you can wipe, rinse, and wipe your brush if you want to. Sorry, I'm just thinking. CJ, should I do the swing first? Probably. Probably. All right, artists, I think what we'll actually do is we'll set aside that color. Sorry, I had it in the instructions. I had to do the swing after, but now that I'm thinking about it, once we lay down those leaves, we may not want to go back and do that. So if you guys could just, you know, we're going to, thank you. We're going to just use those and we're going to switch to our small brush, and this is actually not going to take us any time at all. So using your small brush, you're just going to dip into your black. Okay, so I've got my small brush and I've got some black, and I am just going to actually do, if you can see your little square, your rectangle swing, great. If you can't, you can use the brush to do it for you, and it does not have to be perfect, artists. So don't think that this swing seat needs to be perfectly square. It's an old swing on an old tree. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're actually going to draw lines, or paint lines I should say, from the bottom of our swing up. So you're going to try to do this straight. You can use the hard end of your brush if you want to and kind of use it like a pen, or you can use a small brush. If you do this, don't press very hard. And you want to group your your bristles together so that it's either flat or it's in a point. Sorry, I'm in the way. Okay, so my bristles are all grouped together so that it's fairly flat. And I'm going to go from, so you should really be in front of your painting doing this, or else it's not going to turn very straight. So I'm going to try while being on the side. So I always like to steady my hand by putting my pinky finger on, and then that way it doesn't get so wobbly. And I'm just going to go straight up. So again, the harder that you press, the wider your bristles are going to spread. And this is also where, if you wanted to do your tire swing, this is where you would do it. Awesome. So artists, that's all we're going to do right now for this. Don't worry about the detail. We'll add the detail in after, okay? So do wipe, rinse, and wipe your brush after you did that small little step. We're just painting in a black swing and black ropes. That's it. It's kind of like a shadow. My paper towel is getting well used, so I am going to grab a new one. All right, now we're gonna go back about 2 minutes. And I'm going to use my medium brush, and we are going to start swiping in our leaves. I paused, didn't I? There. Can you guys see me okay? Sorry about that. So our next step is to swipe in our leaves. So we're going to take our medium brush, and we're not going to dab. It's not a dab, and it's not a stipple, okay? It is a swipe. So you're going to take paint on the face of your medium brush if you want that size. You can also use your big brush, and you're going to do a short swipe, about 1 centimeter. Okay, just a little short swipe. And we're going to do this all over our top part for sure. And it doesn't have to be 100% filled in, right? So don't get too worried about the space. And we're going to do a few along the horizon line here, kind of like they're piling up on the ground, okay? So I am going to dip into my main color. It doesn't matter which color you use first, it's totally up to you. But you want to have a good blob on there, right? Like you want to have enough that it's going to actually come off of your brush. And we're just going to start swiping, artists, and we're not even going to think about it a lot. So this is where I'm going to stop talking quite a bit, which is nice because I know you're tired of hearing my voice. And as you want, or as you do swipe, you may just want to start adding in your new hues. And your swipes can be in all different directions. Mine are going diagonal there. That's just from where I'm sitting. And maybe you want to add in some white, some more white, right? Like mine is pretty dark now that oh my gosh, now that I'm looking at it. Sorry, you guys, I'm freezing. You can use your small brush or your medium brush or your big brush. I don't think I would do this a really small brush. It depends what size of swipes you would like. So artists, I am just going to I want it a little bit lighter, I think. Hi Carrie, hi Rebecca. Sorry you guys, I think it's on my end. I don't think it's you. So this is a good learning experience. And I'm just going to swipe in all around. I'm going to focus more on the top. And I'm just literally swiping in these leaves. So it's not a dab and it's not a stipple. It's just a swipe. Okay, perfect. Okay. Artists, please don't be afraid to say anything at all, really. So I've been on the Skype meetings where no one wants to say anything because there's lots of people. But we're all artists here. We're all creating together. So artists, you just honestly don't think about this. This shouldn't even be a thought process. We are just swiping in the paint. That's all. That's all we're doing. We're going to focus on the top right now, and then we're going to do the bottom. And what I would do is just try to fill in your background or over top of your tree. Yes, you can go over top of your branches. But again, don't even think. Don't be like, oh my gosh, that color's right there. Oh my gosh, that swipe is too big. Do not even worry about it. All right, I'm talking too much. So I'm going to be quiet for a little bit. Just let you enjoy swiping your paint in. It's kind of like a game. You want to fill in your gray spots of your background or your tree. Now we don't have to fill in the whole thing. Artists, I'm sure you're all doing an amazing job. Trust yourself. You know, you can take some of these swipes down too, right? This is going to, these leaves are going to fall. And I haven't even cleaned my brush yet because this is all in the same color family. So it's okay if they smudge together. We like that. But I am dipping often. I want to get paint on my brush. You want these to be nice swipes, nice thick swipes. And artists, when you're happy with it, you are going to stop because there is always that time where you're like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. So I like it there. I'm actually going to stop right there-ish. You can add a couple more there, and we'll leave it at that. All right. What you're going to do after you've filled in the top of your tree is you're going to take some of these swipes down here on your ground because these leaves have fallen. Nope. Sorry, I'm going to back up here. What we're actually going to do, artists, I want you to wipe off your brush when you get there, okay? So don't put it on a lot of the ground yet. Don't worry if you have some like me, it's not a big deal. But we're gonna wipe off our brush. Remember, you always wanna paint with a wet brush, except in this case, we actually want a dry brush. So we're going to clean our brush out, and we are going to get it as dry as we can, okay? So it is still going to be wet, but we're going to get as much of that moisture out as possible. And we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing after you got your top swipes done. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a couple of minutes. We're at 1:50, which is actually a good timing. We might go a little bit over 2, but I did talk a lot at the beginning. Sorry. Before our next step, we're actually going to add in a little bit of a glow. We're going to use the same color family up here, but we don't want our brush to be super wet. We actually want it to have hardly anything on it, and it's okay if the bristles are sticking out. You may even want to just rub it on your hand and get that moisture out a little bit. Depends how comfortable you are. And then what we're actually going to do, artists, so even if you're still doing your swipes, if you just want to watch me for a second, so we're going to get a little bit of a glow on the bottom here using our color family up here. So I've got my brush really dry. Like I've taken out all of the water, I've squeezed it, I've cleaned it, I've, roughed it up a little bit. So this doesn't have to be a really pretty brush. We are going to take just a little bit of paint on the tips of our bristles. You see that? Hardly any. Okay, just a little tiny bit of paint on the tips of our bristles. I'm actually going to try and wipe some of it off. Like we hardly want anything on here, artists. And lightly as you can possibly press, you're just going to very lightly back and forth create kind of a glow underneath your swing. So this is where you do want to hear your brush. You don't want a lot of paint on your brush for this. Like I'm talking like not even a drop, okay? And you just want to lightly smudge this in. And we're not going to do a lot, just a little bit, because once we add too much, it just looks silly. It looks like a pond, really. Okay? So artists, to do that, you are going to rinse out and dry out this medium brush as much as you can. Get as much moisture out as possible. You're going to hardly dip into your paint, like no paint at all. And you're just going to very, very lightly go back and forth to create a little bit of a glow of your whole oak tree masterpiece, okay? Once we've done that, if you could wet your brush again, get those bristles back together, blot it out. You don't have to totally rinse your brush because of course you're using the same colors. And now we're gonna start adding those swipes on the bottom. So you don't have to fill this up. Some of these leaves have just fallen to the ground. but do make them swipes, artist. So not a stipple, not a dab or a dot. And you can pile this up as much as you want to. Like if you're like, yeah, I want a massive pile of trees or leaves, rock on, you can do that. So again, lots of paint on your brush. I think I'm gonna lighten this even more actually. So artists, just have fun making your colors, making your new hues. Ooh, that's really pretty, I like that one. It's like a rose almost. And we're just gonna add in some swipes down here. And again, once you're happy with it, stop, because there will be that time where you're like, oh, that was too much. All right, I think I like that. So I'm going to finish. You guys can keep creating. We've got just a couple more small steps left to do, and then I'm going to do some closing remarks. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes to finish your swipes. If you are done, just sit and enjoy your music and your drink, and we'll finish in a couple of minutes. Who knew you could do a masterpiece like this in an hour, eh? After you're done your swipes, you will want to wipe, rinse, and wipe your brush. So again, that paper towel is your friend. Artists, when we are all done, I would love, love, love it if you would take a picture of you and your masterpieces, or get someone to take a picture of you. And if you could either, if you do post them, if you could tag Smudge. It's at Smudge Art Studio. That would be great. Or if you could email them to me, that would be great. At the end of our workshops, we usually take photos of everyone just to show off how amazing you all are. And we can't do that this time. So if you could do that, that would be fabulous. I would love to see your masterpieces. I'm sure CJ would love to see your masterpieces. I know you all did an amazing job, and that you trusted yourself, and you were good with the wonky wavy lines, and good with doing swipes on your background. Nice work, artists. So I hope you're not thinking too much about where your leaves go, that they just go. Just fill it up, that's all. So artists, the last little step on our masterpiece is to finish our swing. So to finish our swing, we're actually going to move on to white, and we're going to actually use the end of our brush, so the hard end. So no bristles, just a hard end, okay? Now you don't even have to do this if you don't want to. If you're like, yeah, I love how this looks, I'm just going to leave it alone, then great. Please just do that. But if you want, you're going to do like the tiniest little dot, and if you want to use a smaller brush, you can, because the size of your brush handle matters. And you're just going to do a little tiny, like you're hardly going to press at all, artists. We're just going to do this just to make it stand out a little bit. The CJ, I'm sorry, do we go all the way down? I can't remember. I know it's up towards the top. But you don't have to do this, artist. Even if you wanted to, okay, I'm going to do something else on the other side. Even if you wanted to take your white and just kind of scribble it down the side to make it look rough, you could do that. So on one side I have dots, and on the other side I just have it. I've used the hard end of my brush to just kind of drag my paint down. It's entirely up to you what you want it to look like. And then I'm just going to do a little highlight on my seat. So I'm actually going to take a little bit of white, and you can use the hardened or you can use your brush. And I'm going to take my original base color, and I'm just going to kind of smudge them together on the seat. That's all. Nothing fabulous. It looks like there's something sitting on the seat. It's just a highlight. And then when you're done that, artists, you can flip your canvas and paint the bottom of your canvas if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna leave mine. I'm not gonna paint the bottom, but if you do want to paint the bottom, you can. But in an hour, you have a masterpiece. How's everyone doing, artists? Are you good?
Thank you, Paige. This was so much fun.
Oh, thank you. I love creating with you. I know we all miss you so much. We can't wait until life gets back to whatever. I know, right? It really is the fastest hour of the whole week. Like, I can't believe it was really just 3 weeks ago. Was it 3 weeks? Is it 2 weeks now? I don't even know anymore. Anyway, life is really different right now, but I guess what I do want to say before you're all done, I do want to just first of all thank you so much for joining us for our first online class. I hope it worked okay. I would love any feedback. I know that technology can be a little glitchy. You know, maybe this is something that I just need to record and email out to you rather than doing it live, but I really do love that interaction, even if it is virtual. We can't wait until things get back to normal. In the meantime, I guess what I do want to say too is please make sure that you wipe your brushes out before you rinse them. Do not put this paint down your drain, okay? Your plumber will really love you, actually. So don't do it. So wipe, rinse, and wipe your brush out. Your brushes you can just clean with warm soapy water, and then reshape the bristles and lay them flat to dry. Oh yes, I also wanted to tell you, so when life does get back to normal, unfortunately we haven't figured out how to do the family workshops yet. I was in the midst of planning all that when life happened, so we're just gonna hold off on that for now. We are still partnering with the casino and the Owl for our paint and sips. Right now on our website at smudgeart.ca, we do have an amazing special going. Well, I think it's amazing. 2 spots to a paint and sip for $60. These are gift certificates and they are valid until the end of the year. If, who knows, life happens, we'll consider extending that date, right? Like, we're not going to be unreasonable. Life is very different right now. So if you do want to take advantage of that, where I'm only selling a few of them, not a lot, so if you do want to take advantage, you can buy as many as you want. But if you do plan on joining us for a paint and sip in the future, it's a great deal. Do follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and keep up on our newsletter, because if we do this again, that is how I'm going to communicate it. So before I sign off, I hope you all had a really good time. I hope you all are keeping safe and warm and happy. And thank you all so much for joining us, and we can't wait to create with you again soon. Have a wonderful weekend, you guys. Bye.